we are going. Okay, so this is lesson 2. We didn't meet last week because of the holiday. I took it off. We will have the rest of the people show up. You know, I do apologize last week for you guys not getting. Y'all weren't on my list. I don't know why, but
really?
I put you on it now. Did you get one today?
I did get it today.
Okay, I made sure you were on the list today. Okay,
Thank
I do
you.
apologize for that. Okay, so this is lesson 2. Just to recap a little bit, lesson 1 was last week we met with the men over in the fatherhood group, and we talked about being a conscious parent. That's your book to write in, take notes in. Please bring it back with you each time you come to take notes. If you have any questions or comments, you definitely have my name and number to give me a call. We have a feedback response sheet at the end. So at the end, you can write down something that you learned, something that you gained, but definitely take notes, okay? And if I talk too fast, talk too slow, just raise your hand or just jump in, okay? All right, this is kind of me talking, but if you have a question, I will stop for that at any time. Okay, as long as you don't give me 15 in a row. Okay, so last week we talked about being a conscious parent. Who knows what that's all about? Last time we met was conscious parent. Conscious parent. Anybody?
Hard.
Huh?
Hard.
Hard?
Okay.
What does it mean to be a conscious parent in a sentence? Nobody wants to talk. Conscious parent. Okay. Being a conscious parent means what? To be aware of what you bring to the relationship with your child. That's what it really talks about. If you was to encapsulate that whole meeting, it's about us parents and what we bring to the relationship. A lot of times we yell, scream, cuss, fuss, fight, threaten, we medicate, we focus on the child and their behaviors, but a lot of being a conscious parent is about what we bring to the relationship, okay? Because parents create bonds and children do what?
Attach.
Children attach, exactly. So it's important that in a relationship there's always two people. Unfortunately, the child gets blamed, the child gets consequence, the child gets yelled at, the child gets punished, right? But we never look at the parental behaviors and what they bring. So this week, lesson 2 is entitled Parental Fears and Their Origins. Parental fears and their origins. Okay? Where do our parenting styles come from? Who taught us to be
Fear, stress,
parents?
and trauma.
Our parents.
Fear, stress, and trauma.
Who taught us to be parents?
Our parents.
Our parents. Right? Now, if you came from dysfunction, let's say your family life was dysfunctional, what are you going to teach your children?
Dysfunction.
Dysfunction.
This is what you know.
It's normal. And I will tell you this too. You can read some books, you can take some classes, and if you don't practice, try, fail, and adjust, practice, eventually you are going to go back to the way you were raised if you're not conscious of what you're doing. Who knows why? Because that's our level of comfort. That's what we're used to. That's what we can understand. I can understand the yelling at the kids, threatening the kid, intimidating the kid, pushing the kid, slapping the kid. Why? Because that was done to me. So even as if I'm not a conscious parent and I'm reading some books, I'm taking some classes, if I don't practice, I will go right back to the way I was raised. Why? Because it's unconscious. Okay? Unconscious parenting will take you back to, even though we can say it's dysfunctional, it's not working, but we will go there. You know why? Think about it like when you drive a car somewhere, you're talking on the phone or you're listening to the radio, and before you know it, you're right where you're supposed to be, or you missed your exit. You're driving unconscious. You're not even thinking about it. Right? Sometimes you get home and say, wow, how did I get here so fast? You don't even realize it. Sometimes you, on the highway, you miss 2 or 3 exits. Wow, how did I miss that exit? Wasn't even conscious of it. Okay? So those are those unconscious things that we do because of the comfort that comes with it. Okay? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but at some point in time, at some level, we have to recognize that our children are beneficiaries of that maladaptive parenting style. I never ever say parents don't love their children, because we know parents love their children. Most parents I talk to, they want their children to be better than them. But at the end of the day, if we're not conscious, if we're not aware of what we bring to the relationship with them, then we tend to do the bad things or the things that was done to us, even though they didn't work, okay? Here's a phrase, write this down. What's not transformed doesn't work. What's not transformed is transferred. Does anyone have a pen? Another pen?
She can have
I'm
mine.
out.
Could you pass that
Anyone
on?
have an extra?
I'm good.
Okay. Sir, do you have a book? You just did not bring it today, huh? How about if I give you a piece of paper? Just so you can have something to write on. Okay? All right. Okay. So, as parents, some of us grew up with both our parents in the home. Some grew up with one parent, mother or father. Some of us grew up in foster care. Right?
Yeah.
Some of us grew up going through the system. Social services was involved, CPS involved, foster care involved. You're in the home, you're out of the home. Right? All of that leads to what? Dysfunction. Dysfunction. And guess what? Over time, that becomes our norm. Because we experience that, we think that, well, this is the way it's supposed to be. And a lot of times, if we're not conscious, guess what we do? We do to our children the same thing that was done to us that we didn't even like ourselves. We weren't even happy with it. It didn't make us feel good. It didn't encourage us. It didn't build us our self-esteem. But we find ourselves in that pattern because that's what we used to. That's why if you go into the projects, you see generational relationships in there. We call it a project mentality, is because we get comfortable and it just trickles down. You have 12 and 13-year-old children having babies because mom, she's 24 now. Your grandma, 36. So all of the things become our norm if we're not conscious of it, okay? I was working with a family just last week and worked with mom, and I said, we did a lesson on love. And I said, now your assignment is to go home and talk to your 19-year-old daughter who's pregnant and ask her, what is love? And the 19-year-old daughter didn't know what love was. Can y'all believe that?
Mm-hmm.
I can. The answer that the 19-year-old daughter gave, you would expect a 6-year-old to give that was not taught what love is. So now you wonder why she's pregnant? I didn't. Because what he said to her, what he convinced her of, and guess what? They're not even together now.
She's pregnant.
She has 2 more months of pregnancy, and the boyfriend is not even there now. But what he said to her was enough for her to just say, I want to be with this person. Okay? So a lot of times, what I'm talking about now is the generational aspect of what happens in families, okay? And where our parenting style comes from and our level of fear comes from. Our anxiety comes from, you know, there's a kind of a modality that we do called a genogram. Anybody heard of a genogram before? Okay.
Yes.
What it would do is you can go back as far as you can generationally and look at your grandparents or great-grandparents, and you look at alcoholism, look at psychosomatic problems that may have, like anxiety, drug addiction, alcohol, cigarette smoking, and you just follow that down through the family tree. Okay, so you have a lot of families who have what I call generational curses, generational problems that pass down, and a lot of times it passes down like that. Why? Because we're not conscious. Because if you knew your great-great-grandmother used to do X, Y, Z, and then you're doing it, and you know that if I keep doing it, my children's going to do it, you can say, maybe I need to stop doing this. You know, but we don't talk about these things in general family situations. You know, even with molestation, sometimes that follows in a family. Generation. It becomes pathological. But it's never talked about, okay? I've worked with a family in Williamsburg before, where the grandmother was adopted, the mother was adopted. It's like generational. The first child was adopted, then they had more children. First child was adopted, and they had more children. You know, it's amazing what you see that goes down in families. Then you have a family who mom gave away her firstborn, then had other children. Then the daughter gave away her firstborn and had more children. You know, you see all this stuff passing down in families, and we don't talk about it, we don't think about it, we don't look at it and say, wow, do we need to continue this pattern in our family? So for me, it starts with not just understanding the fears that occur, but how about teaching lessons in love? Defining love. What is love? You know, a lot of times we hear parents say, I love you, I love you, I love you, but what does that mean to that child when you say that? Most of the time, when you tell your children you love them, that means you bought something for them, you've done something for them, you've given them something, you've allowed them to watch TV or something like that. You bought them to clubs. That's usually what it means to the child. So it's an act, something that I've done for you, so I love you. Okay, but is that the only definition of love that you want your child to know? It shouldn't be. Okay? So with parental fears, if we're not, like I said, if we're not conscious of the fears, it becomes generational. Okay? Do y'all see that?
Yes.
The generational aspect of it, it gets passed down generation after generation. I'm looking at yelling, screaming, fighting, alcoholism, smoking, weed, whatever it is, it becomes generational. There's a family I've worked with in the past, incarceration was generational. Everybody was going to jail. You know, so can you imagine you having 5 kids and all 5 of your kids going to jail and they thinking that it's okay? So now, your son who's out of jail, he has a son who's getting ready to go to jail. And we don't think that this stuff can be passed down because we're not conscious of it. We have to become conscious of what we bring to relationships and where our relationship styles come from.